The member for Mount Waverley.
Thank you, Acting Speaker, and I'm very happy to rise as we come to the close of the day to speak on the Consumer Legislation Amendment Bill 2020. And this bill makes amendments to the Residential Tenancies Amendment Act 2018 and the Retirement Village Act of 1986 to address important and enduring stakeholder issues. This includes assisting retirement village residents and their estates recovering unpaid ingoing contributions, as many of my colleagues have mentioned. And I'd like to join the member for Carrum, as she said, to thank the previous Minister for Consumer Affairs as well for her work building up to this, and of course the Minister at the table, the Minister for Consumer Affairs, and the Minister for Housing as well, as it affects his portfolio, for the considerable work that they have done getting us to this important stage. But also, while we're at it, I think we should always spare a moment to thank the numerous amounts of staff at the advisor and ministerial level and government and departments that beaver along tirelessly day after day in the process of government. And the winners out of all that work are the people of Victoria. And today we're obviously affecting, for the benefit, the lives of our senior Victorians, vulnerable Victorians, and these are all, I think, the reason that we're all here. Government is a work in progress. We don't ever finish. We keep going, and the problems that arise on a day-to-day basis we deal with and we move on. And this year has seen things arise that none of us would have expected to see. But again, we keep going and we keep working. Now, before I go into the bill to issue, I would also like to note the member for Hawthorn's contribution, because I wouldn't presume to speak with the same sort of authority or experience as the member for Hawthorn might have in regarding to retirement villages. And I think his erudite speech comes from a place of understanding that I'm sure we'll all get to, and he'll still be there giving us all his wisdom for a very, very long time, I would say. So, now this might not be the most contentious bill, and I was very happy to see the opposition are supporting this bill. I will also note the absence of the Greens on this bill, though. I would have thought that as it touches on social housing issues, very important social housing issues, I would have thought that'd be something they might want to at least speak to in this House. But, you know, there's still time. Maybe they'll turn up. We'll see. So the amendments that this bill contains are nonetheless vitally important for the protection of our Victorian community, and further shows this government's commitment to protecting Victorians who find themselves in vulnerable situations. And the member for Oakley put it that way, and I think it was very apt. It's not so much that we're protecting vulnerable Victorians, because it's not the Victorians themselves that are vulnerable. They're in a vulnerable situation. And as he spoke about the pre-COVID normal that I guess we want to get back to, and we will, there is an opportunity here to create our post-COVID normal to be a better normal. And we may be some time away from that. It might be months, it might be weeks, it might be however long it's going to be until we're not wearing masks and we're back to a full house here. But nonetheless, now is a good time to reflect on what can we do better. And this bill is something that we are doing better once it passes, which I hope it does. So the pandemic has only proven to me how much our community and Victorians as a whole value our seniors and those Victorians who are in vulnerable situations. Now, there are some who may not feel this way or argue that there is some zero-sum game or some bargaining on life and health versus other things, and I'm not here to judge or talk about that too much, but what I see is that, and I would hope that everyone in this chamber would share in the fact that the health of Victorians does come first. I don't think that would be contentious, and I would encourage us all to keep reinforcing that, because it is the health of Victorians that we're focusing on and will continue to do so. Now, the bill aims to further protect and assist in the consumer affairs area that amongst these people to have a better situation in their retirement villages or social housing in regards to their day-to-day life, much the same as we are focusing on those people in our public health response. Now, more than ever, the people that we're talking about here, the members of our community, need security and reassurance that they are protected when it comes to navigating retirement living, social housing or specialist disability accommodation. Independent retirement living is a critical part of the seniors' housing mix. It enables seniors Australians to remain independent for longer, which keeps them out of aged care for longer. Obviously, in a retirement village setting where they're amongst friends and neighbours, this is obviously better for social inclusion as well, which is something we're all got on the back of our minds at the moment with isolation and having ways of people getting together, and more as we see over the coming weeks that we will have more and more people being able to get back in touch with each other, and I think we're all looking forward to that. So, and given the growth and I guess evolution of the retirement village sector over the last number of decades, the passing of this bill aims to just tighten up some of those protections that we saw highlighted in regards to the Barclay Living, the Patterson Lakes Retirement Village situation where that village is down in liquidation. This bill is happening at the same time that we have a review into the Retirement Village Act, which is still ongoing, and I'm awaiting the options paper very eagerly, as a number of my constituents are. But I think it's important that this is done now because it's a much needed piece of legislation and very, very timely to get this done, a time where people need, as Member Karam said, people move on from their lives with retirement villages. They go to aged care, they need bonds. The house is what for most of us will be our greatest asset we ever own. And so I remember when my grandmother moved from their house in Glen Iris, it'll be 40 years ago now. She bought a retirement village and obviously sold the house, went into the retirement village. So that asset that they had, that she and my grandfather had built for their whole life, went into that retirement village, and that's the crucial nature of this. So I just would also like to touch on, during this time, we're talking about our seniors, and my district of Mount Waverley, 35% of my district are over the age of 60. And since the start of the pandemic, we have contacted, my office has been calling seniors on a daily basis, and we've called almost 7,000 of those seniors. And just in regard to the nature of those conversations, people take the pandemic seriously and they are concerned, and now people are fatigued and we're tired and some are angry, and these are all very understandable, very normal reactions to what we're all dealing with. But I spoke to a lady who was 97 and we had a fantastic conversation, and she lived in a retirement village just in my area, and I said, "How are you going? How are you coping it?" And this was around the time that people were hoarding toilet paper and no one really knew what we were getting into. And anyway, she said, "Oh, look, Matt, my parents got me through the Depression. I've survived World War. We got through polio. This ain't going to get me." It's the stoicism of our seniors at this time that I look to. And these are the people who understand that our health response must be a health-first response, that our government response must be a health-first response, and that is what we're giving them. Today, we also give them some more security in their contractual negotiations with retirement villages who might not be acting properly, and I commend the Bill to the House.